Hey guys, we are live. Sorry about that. Normally I have some music. Kind of felt awkward there going in dry like that. But welcome back. We have Papa Kyle top right, bottom right, Mr. Gage Sheets, and then first time to or on the channel. Welcome, brother Deshaun. How we doing, guys?
Good, man.
Great, man.
Good. Excited
Everybody's
for
good?
tomorrow.
Absolutely.
All right. That was my first question. How's everybody feeling? Everybody, we anxious? We feeling confident? Just ready to get the rest of your Friday over with? What are our thoughts?
I'm anxiously confident, if that's even a thing. I've been seeing a lot of chatter out there, on Twitter. A lot of folks who are not Texas fans thinking that we have a good chance to roll into Ann Arbor and take care of business, which is great. But at the same time, I, just feel like I have some PTSD from the last several years still. So I'm just trying not to get overly confident right now.
I get it. How about you guys down there?
Go ahead, Gage.
Yeah, so I think we kind of talked about it a little bit, and I've said it a couple times, but I think a lot of people, including myself, have some open wounds from the last 15 years that have yet to be healed, and so that gives you a little bit of nervousness. But like, I'm so confident in the culture change and in Sark and everything that's going on. Period. And we've seen what it looks like when it's so bad, like the culture is bad and everything. So I'm so confident that, like, I know it's crazy to say, but even if somehow, I don't think we're going to lose tomorrow. But if somehow we did lose tomorrow, I'm still extremely confident going into the rest of the season and going on further into Sark's tenure in Texas, because I just do feel like the culture's changed so much, and so I do feel confident more than I have been in the past. I hope it doesn't burn me, but I believe in the change that Sark's made.
Brother?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and roll right off the case and say that I'm 100% confident. I don't think that I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. They can record it if they want to. I think that we're gonna go in there and handle them. I think that even if their best shows up, they are not going to be able to compete with the great second. They have a whole new offensive line, and I think that our defense is going to do a good job at getting pressure this week. I think going into the fourth quarter of last week's game versus Fresno State, it was like 16-10 in the fourth quarter, maybe midway through the third, and I don't think that they're going to make that leap in a week. Man. So I think we're going to handle it pretty well.
No, I mean, I kind of the same as all you guys. We're all pretty confident, and then in the end of the day, it's like, okay, I mean, I think we all know we can still lose that football game. We've seen worse teams beat better teams, but like Gage said, I think we're real confident in Sark. The culture. For me, it's kind of the mission this team is on. Being close last year, losing to Washington. I guarantee this one's obviously been circled for a long time. So yeah. I like the way Kyle said it. If anxiously confident is a thing, I'd probably describe myself.
I'm making up words and feelings over here, so who knows?
I'm about it, man. But I'm with you guys. A lot of confidence going on. Let me ask you this, and whoever wants to take it in no particular order. If Texas were to drop this football game to Michigan, what does Texas not do well on the football field? Or maybe what does Michigan do well? How do they win?
I'll start. Turnovers. It's got to be turnovers. Michigan's going to have to turn us over and give themselves a short field. Like, I mean, I guess that maybe like that their offense is just not good, right? And we know that. And so I think that they would have to turn Quinn over a lot. Like, Quinn's going to have a really bad game. They're going to have to put Quinn on his butt. I think we'll be able to see very early like how much pressure they're actually going to be able to put on Quinn. I'm confident in our offensive line to be able to hold up front enough, and I'm obviously confident in Sark's ability to call different plays to kind of get them moving side to side and not straight up field. But I think that that's the big thing is they're going to have to be able to rush and pressure Quinn and cause him to turn the ball over. I mean, I would say 3 times. Something kind of similar to Washington where we just had those really bad fumbles. But yeah, it's going to take a really great effort from them and a really subpar effort from us.
Yeah, I don't have any worries over here from a defensive perspective on our end. Um, I think I know that there's a lot of concern about the lack of QB pressures and sacks last week that we didn't have against Colorado State. My personal opinion, it's week one. Again, I don't think we showed everything that we had in our bag of tricks. That was so notorious. Hiding some of that stuff as we saw last year going into Alabama. I would agree with what Gage said. I think turnovers, and then one thing that just kind of worries me is just our run game. Um, I have all the confidence in the world in Jaden Blue, but I know that Michigan's returning a pretty stout D line, and I think it's going to be important for us to establish the run game, early, to open up the playbook for Quinn.
Well said. How about you, Deshaun? How does Michigan get it done if they get it done?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I fall right in line with them, dude. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't think that we're gonna be able to run the ball extremely well. And I think that a lot of the game's gonna have to come down to Quinn being able to execute the plays that he's gonna have to make. It's his third year in the scheme, and it's time for him, I think, to step up and make those big boy plays and lead us to the win, kind of like he did last year against Alabama. And I think if he doesn't do that tomorrow, that's the way that I see us losing.
Really, really well said. I fully agree with you. I think that this game is going to be on Quinn's shoulders. I think Michigan will do everything they can to make sure that, because if we can run the ball, then they're absolutely cooked. They don't have a chance. So,
Right.
If we're able to run the ball, then this game's going to be real boring for a lot of people that, don't represent Burnt Orange. That's just how it'll be. So they'll try to take the run game away. Like you said, I think it'll be really tough to run up the middle against those two tackles. And so, it comes down to three. And same as you guys, Kyle, Gage. I mean, for me, I've said several times on the channel this week, if we turn the ball over 3+ times, I think, that actually gives Michigan a chance, like Gage said. But also for me, a big part of it is in the red zone. If we can convert in the red zone where, we kind of struggled and Michigan has been really, 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 really good for the past 3 seasons. If we can convert, in the red zone, score touchdowns there, and not have to settle for Bert Auburn field goals. As much as I love seeing my guy get run out there on the field, he might be my favorite player. I just love the kid.
If nobody's got me, Bert Auburn's got me.
Yeah. But get the chat up here. But there we go. But yeah, nobody's got you. Bert Auburn's got you. That's a fact. And so yeah, for me, if Michigan turns this over 3+ times and has success in the red zone, maybe even 2 turnovers, and then they, turn half our trips into the red zone into field goals, then yeah, I think, that gives them an opportunity. Now on the flip side, if Texas, obviously, which we're all rooting for, wins this game, what do you think personally, guys, that we have to do well in particular?
I think we need to see some, a deep ball or two from Quinn actually get completed, similar to what we saw against Alabama last year. I know that that's something that he's kind of historically struggled with a little bit. But I think that coupled with what I said previously, I think we need to establish the run game early because that's going to allow them to open up the playbook, take a little more, some more shots down the field, etc. But I would love to see some deep balls from Quinn on the offensive side. I think if we can establish that as well, I don't think we have anything to worry about. And again, their offense is doo-doo. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Michigan's offense is doo-doo. So,
yeah. So offensively, I'm kind of with you, Kyle. I think it's more a screen game is where I think that we're going to try to set it up in the first quarter or so. Just like I said, try to get those interior defensive linemen moving sideways, like thinking a little bit and not just rushing the quarterback and getting downfield as fast as possible. So outside run game, screen games, just try to get them off their sets a little bit. Defensively, I don't have too many worries. Obviously, you don't want them to run the ball. I think we talked about it at the post game. You don't want them to run the ball for 200+ yards. I mean, we've all seen the nightmare Texas games in the past where they come in and just run the ball down our throats for 1,000,000 yards. That's the recipe for success for Michigan, is to be able to run the ball and then go off of that for play action, because straight up, I think that our secondary is good enough to cover them. So they need to really get us to sink down low and then hit the play action. Yeah, I mean, you just got to stay sound, man. And I think that, like I said, it's a culture mindset. And I'm pretty confident in our culture, and I'm pretty confident in the work that these guys have been putting in for the last 6 months. And I think they're motivated, and I think they're motivated for this game.
Yeah, there's definitely a swagger about this team that is a little bit different than previous years.
Absolutely. How about you, Deshaun? If we win the game, what are we doing well in particular?
Yeah, man, I think this is going to be a big game on Big Vernon Broughton and Alfred Collins, man. I think that if those guys show up and play the games that we know that those guys are capable. I don't know if y'all watched the tape from last game, but Vernon played amazing. I think if he shows up and gives that type of effort in this game, man, and they're starting a walk-on quarterback. If you can put the game on their quarterback's shoulders, I think our DBs will seal the game for us.
Oh, well said, man. Kind of like what you just said earlier, talking about us maybe not being able to run the ball on them and the game falling on Quinn. I think all of us are perfectly okay with that. If Michigan is not able to run the ball, they're cooked, and that they're not going to beat us in the passing game. They just don't have the experience. They don't have the bodies, and I like our secondary a lot. That's just not how Michigan football is built. They're not built to play from behind and play catch up and have to score a lot of points. Which, I mean, obviously last year, plenty of times did they scored a lot of points. But that's just not the way that program's built, not stylistically. And so I think it's really important for Texas to get into a lead in this game. I think that it can get, I won't say easy, but it could get to be a lot of fun for us if we put up maybe 10, in the opening quarter, Script Sark goes out there, does his thing. He's picking up chunk plays or however it happens. Maybe we get 3 on one possession, a touchdown the next drive, or vice versa. I think that would be really, really big if we can go maybe kind of make Michigan back off. So by nature, they want to be really aggressive. It's just what they've done lately. And then with the new DC they have in town, he's the same guy, or the same way, same strategy. They're going to blitz. And so it's curious to see how they handle Texas. But, yeah, I think, a lot like you guys, Quinn plays well, defensive line plays well. It's hard to see Michigan beating Texas. I mean, if our defensive line can even make it like neutral with that O-line in the Michigan run game, if we can just hold our own, we'll probably give up 100 yards. I mean, Michigan's going to pound the ball. They're going to run the ball, 30-plus times. Like, we'll give up probably if they don't run for 100, I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. But we'll give up the yards. But, I mean, can we hold up from letting them being, just hunting out players and just doing what Michigan's done for the last few years and just mauling really good teams, wearing them down physically, sometimes mentally. And so got to keep Michigan run game held in check. Quinn plays good. That's simple stuff, but I think it goes a really long way for Texas. Go ahead and do this. I won't get to your prediction yet. Go ahead and give a game ball out to obviously I'm expecting a Longhorn, but if you go Michigan, I get it,
You want to go? Does somebody want to go? I'll go. I'm giving it to. I think it's going to be Ant Hill. I think last week we talked about it, but that dude is heat-seeking missile. Obviously, I think Michigan's going to try to run the ball, and I think they're going to have a hard time doing it with his speed, and not just that, but him getting back in coverage. I think he'll get an interception, and I think he's going to have like 6-7 solo tackles. So that's who I'm going with.
Gage must have been reading my mind because I was literally just blurt out Ant Hill Jr. I'll give me a second to think of another one. I don't want to steal it. You're right though. Last week, he was just an absolute just ball hawk on defense. Dude is obviously at some point going to be a first-round draft pick. It's going to be exciting to watch him grow as the year goes on.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll go with someone on the offensive side of the house. I think Isaiah Bond is going to have a good game. Going to have some good receptions. Again, he was a great pickup for us this past year. I think he gets a tutty tomorrow. Maybe 2. We'll see. But I'll go with Isaiah Bond.
That matchup is going to go crazy. That Bond. It'll be interesting to see what Michigan does with Will Johnson and see if I mean, I imagine he's going to cover ball the entire time, but that's going to be really fun to watch just from a football fanatic perspective, not just a Texas fan in this game.
Absolutely. I mean, Kyle, you took it right out of my mouth, man. That was the guy I was going to go with. So you pretty much summed it up for me, bro.
I there's two good picks.
What about you, Ghost?
It's hard, man. I've thought of multiple players. Lacey earlier in the week, she said Silas Bolden. I like that because it's sneaky and fun. It's tough, man. It really is tough for me. You know what? I'm going to roll the dice. I know that we're not going to run the football maybe the way that we want Texas to run the football in big games down the line. Credit to Michigan a little bit. But I'll roll with Jaden Blue. I think out of the backfield, I'm gonna give him credit for a pretty big game out of the backfield, keeping Michigan in that aggressive defense at bay. And plus, my first pick is already gone, so I'm going Jaden Blue here. Quinn's, it's such an easy call, but I'd be really curious, Gage. I think that if we got a Michigan troll in the comments, this is fun. Never had this happen before. This is first time you're here. Welcome, Blunt Man. I appreciate your bluntness and the chat. You're very confident for 3 picks on the DAY or
yeah.
We don't even. Anyways, if Quinn does turn it over 3 times, then Michigan can beat Texas. Absolutely. So we're predicting Texas to win. You're predicting Quinn to throw 3 picks. We'll see what's up on Saturday. By 3:30, 4 o'clock, we'll have all the answers. But yeah, so
been kind of related to Mr. Bluntman over here, and I don't know. This may be really bold of me to say, but
you talking about Gage or the guy in the comments?
I'm talking about our friend in the comments over here.
Oh, okay.
Saying that Michigan's going to run it back. Is Michigan the worst? Is this Michigan? Or I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this. Are they the worst defending national champions we've seen in recent memory, as far as year over year?
Did you see what Vern said on the channel the other day?
I was a few bourbons deep, so I don't necessarily word for word.
Chris Marler said that Michigan is the worst defending national champion, and this is not my words, Blunt Man. Don't put these words in my mouth. just repeating what a guest said. The worst defending national champion since the 2011 Auburn Tigers. You are not worse than that team. I promise that. But I think it's still TBD. I think it's still TBD. We don't know enough about Michigan. There you go, buddy. Showing some love. We're still coming for your heads tomorrow. But I don't know. Can y'all think of anyone else between them and Auburn that would even? Oh, I mean, we don't know enough about Michigan. I'm sorry. Auburn, it was clearly the worst defending national champion. He made a good point on that. And he says Ohio State. We just did this whole dance. They went 11-1. They went 11-1.
Urban Meyer had them boys straightened up. I don't want to. I go back to a couple teams. I think, and y'all don't kill me for this, but a team that had a lot of questions on it was the 06 Texas team. Losing Vince. I mean, that team was still really, really good, but. I'm not definitely not worse than Michigan. Definitely not worse than Michigan.
Let me clip a few. How do I can hit 2 buttons and we don't have to do this.
There were questions.
2006 Texas lost 1 game in the regular before Colt McCoy went down late in the season. You know who they lost to? Number 1 team in the country, Ohio State. At home, Ted Ginn Jr., returning quarterback, loaded, playing the national championship game.
They were
3 top 10 wins on the season? That is insane that you reference us with 2011 Auburn or this Michigan team. Absolutely.
I'm just going in a different direction. Wow. I'm just saying there was questions at the quarterback position.
What?
And
they were answered immediately in week 1 when he tore apart North Texas. One of his first passes a Longhorn was a touchdown to Limas Swede. Bro, and the week 2 game against Ohio State, I love you for bringing this up because I told you guys before the show I needed energy, and now I'm mad. Greg Davis wouldn't let Colt McCoy throw the ball outside of a goddamn box in week 2 against Ohio State. Go watch the film. He didn't attempt to pass more than 12 yards down the field. You give up a long touchdown to Ted Ginn right before the half. Bro, we lose to Kansas State and A&M at the end of the season. I get this, but Colt McCoy went down in the K-State game. He came back too early in the A&M game. You can't do that to me, man. My heart is pounding right now. We are
I'm
so
just
much
giving
better
I'm
than
just
this
giving
Michigan
you.
team.
I agree. I'm just giving you options outside those two.
What's
Well, if you-
in the water over there, Gage, over in Atlanta? They're sipping on
dude.
something weird.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going on in Atlanta, bro.
He was thinking outside the box.
No, I like it,
outside the
man.
box. I was trying to think of teams that maybe had, because I do like Michigan's defense. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, they've still got some studs on this defense. I think that they've got major problems in quarterback, a lot worse than that team had. And I'm just trying to comparatively try to think of is there any? But I mean, that Auburn team by far, I think that even this Michigan team would beat that Auburn team. That Auburn team is not good.
Well, yeah. I mean, we just don't know enough. I don't think we don't know near enough to be able to say, but I was obviously having a good time with you there, Gage, but
No,
you're bringing up a fair point
for.
because there's a
That's
lot
what
of
we're here
question
for.
marks about that team going in. How does Colt McCoy work out?
Yeah.
It did help a ton to have a Jamal Charles just sitting there waiting in the wings to take over.
They had a lot of returnees, period.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and the defense was loaded.
Yeah.
We gave up 42 points in late November to K-State. No, 45 points, and it still haunts me to this day, man, because all the defensive talent we had, they did a lot of fluky things in that game. I think there was 2 special teams scores, or they blocked 2 kicks. I don't know, man. It was a shit show. They ran a fake field goal, scored a tutty. But yeah, that 2006 Texas team had a lot of love for them. Colt's freshman year, I think he had 6 touchdowns against Oklahoma State, but good times.
I think that obviously, I think if Vince comes back, they're winning. That team's winning the national championship. They're going back to back
easily.
Yeah, it's not
easily.
No, I do want to point that out. The question was Cole.
Fair enough. All right, before we get to Texas and Michigan predictions, what other game around the country or games? Feel free to talk about as many as you'd like. Or are you keeping an eye on after Texas this weekend? It's not a crazy good slate, but there's a fair amount of decent ball out there.
Ohio, Oklahoma, Houston for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh, but man, Houston looked bad. Do you think that they can hang at all?
I think Jackson Arnold's going to get exposed one of these days, and it's not going to be to somebody in the SEC. So I'm hoping it could be this week. I wouldn't mind seeing it that way.
I don't remember who I replied to yesterday, but I said OU lost to Houston would smack so hard simply because of how bad Willie Fritz and Houston looked in week 1. They were really, really putrid out there. And saying all this, they're not going to hear it, but I was trying to speak some motivation towards the program's way, somehow, some way show up against the Sooners. What about you, Kyle or Gage? I got a game that stands out in particular outside of the Horns?
Obviously, Tennessee, NC State, very interested. And just for a pure entertainment factor, watching that game. A couple other, just Big 12-wise, Baylor and Utah. Baylor's so weird, man, and I still kind of like Dave Aranda, and so it'll be really interesting to see if Baylor can have a bounce back season, and that's a good test going up to Utah. So I like that game too.
I'm excited for Nebraska, Colorado. I think it's going to be an interesting game there in Lincoln. I'm a noted Deion Sanders hater. Come at me. We have a buddy in our group chat, Matt, who's going to be a little happy to hear this, but I'm hoping Nebraska just wipes the floor clean with Colorado. And while we're on the topic of Oklahoma, Houston, it's interesting. I'm looking at our site right now, Ghost, and they don't even have a money line option available. That's how confident they are in Oklahoma.
I mean, Houston looked as bad as anybody, dude. I don't even that was really, really bad. I liked UNLV to win that game. I think I took them in our group pick'em thing, but that was bad. I didn't expect it to go down like that.
Be able to score. I think that was the thing. I thought it was going to be I picked UNLV to win, but I thought it would be a high-scoring game because I didn't trust Houston's defense. And then they just did nothing. They look lifeless.
I'll definitely keep an eye on both those games that you last two gentlemen mentioned. I'll watch Nebraska, Colorado. I'll watch North Carolina State. Tennessee is probably my favorite game outside of ours, just for entertainment purposes. We've got put down North Carolina State on the prediction show last night. I like how you, Kyle, you tagged me and Brandy today, and you're like, "How do you like our picks?" And they were all her picks, man. I was like, "All right, I got you."
I did. I threw one in there that I don't remember y'all covering last night. It's a Friday night game.
You did add one tonight, right, Duke?
I think I put Duke. I think I had him at minus +2, +3 on my official Kyle's locks of the week. But in all reality, I'm taking Duke money line straight up.
I like it. I mean,
it's a big game. I'm definitely gonna watch it.
I believe in Malik Murphy.
I like it.
I
You watching that one tonight? Go ahead. I was gonna ask if you were watching Duke tonight.
Oh yeah, for sure. I was just saying. I think another game that I'm not expecting too much out of it, but I think it's interesting to see if they bounce back is going to be that Boise State Oregon game to see if Oregon can show up this week.
That's a good point. Boise State should be able to run the ball. That's what they do, and they do it so well. I imagine they still have some success. I think if they can slow the game down, I mean, like, depending on what Gabriel and that offense looked like, kind of lacked firepower last week. That's a big spread on that game. I don't see a reason Boise State can't hang around for sure. That'll be a fun watch. I'd completely forgotten about that one.
Genty. We talked a little bit about Genty in the past, and during our pregame, I picked Boise State to make the playoff, and I was like, Ashton Genty is why. You know, he was coveted, man. Like, I know there was a lot of schools that wanted Genty to leave Boise State, and he stayed there. So, it's pretty cool to see him doing that work. I'm interested to see Oregon, if Oregon can really shut him down, because they're going to be a little bit bigger than Boise State. So,
yeah, I've seen him on some Heisman predictions, man. I think this could be one of those moments that could define that.
Yeah,
I mean, that goes a long way. That looking at what he did in week 1, if you follow that up beating Oregon, I mean,
crazy.
Because if they do so, it'll be on his shoulders, of course. I mean, he's that guy. So
who was the last running back to win a Heisman? Derrick Henry. It was Derrick Henry, wasn't it? He beat CMC, was the runner-up.
I'm definitely curious to see what A&M's offense looks like. Obviously, they'll score points. They're playing McNeese State, but I'm still curious to see what it looks like, how Connor kind of throws the ball a little bit. So I'll always watch Oklahoma and Oklahoma, Houston, and then A&M a little bit. You got to know your enemies and keep an eye on them. But I watched the Temple game last week. I don't know if you gentlemen did. I did not think Oklahoma looked. Try not to say too much. I don't think they looked anything special, to be honest.
I would agree with that statement.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, their offensive line is it's a little sketchy. It hasn't looked like the Oklahoma offensive lines of the past.
Yeah. Now I'll say that the defense is really good. The defense turned the ball over 3 or 4 times. I felt like in the first 10 minutes of the game, and they had a lot of short fields. So your defense, steps up. I'm not knocking the defense at all. I should have said the offense wasn't looking special whatsoever, but we'll see. They got a couple of massive games coming up in the next few weeks, and so we'll get a real idea kind of what Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, and those guys are about. But going back to Texas and Michigan, if you guys are ready, drop a prediction on that bad boy. 7. The line dropped to 7, so I think.
So I'll go ahead and say I locked in Texas at -6.5. So I think we cover the spread. Final score prediction, I'm going to go 34-17.
44-17 or 34-7?
34-17.
Okay. I was like, that is the most confident pick I've seen all week. How about you, Deshaun? What you got, man?
Yeah, man, I'm going to go ahead and lock it in. I was thinking about it on the way here. I think a good score, a good game would be 37-21.
Okay. Definitely.
We're on the over. Right now we're looking at
2 for
over.
2.
Over is at 42.
That would Texas almost gets there by itself if Deshaun's prediction comes true, which that would be awesome, and that's what I'm rooting for. If Texas scores 37, I assume that by the end of the game, Quinn's probably a healthy, one of the front runners for the Heisman. We scored 37, Quinn went off.
Yeah.
How about you, Gage?
So I said 30-10 after the Colorado State game. I've come back on that a little bit. I've been saying that it's going to be a close game for a little bit, right? Like I do think that Michigan's going to kind of pull out some trick plays, and they're going to pull out all sorts of gadgets to try to pull this off. And I think their defense is good enough to give us issues, a little bit of issues. So I think it'll be a close game. Like it'll be kind of like the Alabama game, right, where it was like kind of close going to the fourth quarter, and then we had a couple big plays to kind of blow it open. So I think it'll be, I don't know, 17-13, and then I think it'll probably end like 24-13, 27-13, 30, somewhere around there. I'm going to say 24-13 is what the final score is going to be. I think it'll be like 17-13 going into the fourth quarter. We'll score a touchdown and then get the ball back and just kind of kill the clock, have one of those 6-minute drives. I think in the fourth quarter, winning the fourth quarter and really putting them away in the fourth quarter is what I'm the most interested to see. Because, like I said, I always talk about the fourth quarter. That points to culture, right? And I want to see us dog those dudes in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah.
So 20, you said 24-13, 20. So that's something around there.
I'm going to go 24-13, yeah.
Okay, just curious, man, making sure. Yeah, I'm being real, man. I'm gonna get really nervous if it's a tight ball game in the fourth. I mean, naturally, we would all be really nervous, but
yeah,
kind of going back to what I talked about earlier, Michigan wearing teams down, being able to run the football, I would be really, 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 really worried. But at the same time, your friendly neighborhood reminder that Texas did go into Tuscaloosa, outscore Alabama 21-0 in the fourth quarter, which is super cool to say out loud, and got to be the only time that's done in the Nick Saban era. I mean, I can't imagine anybody rolling in there under one of his defenses and, putting up 3 touchdowns, and much less holding a tied scoreless. But, yeah, I mean, I've said 30-16, so I'm sticking with that. I think I'm going to say Texas does maybe have like a score in the fourth to kind of pull away. I think that so kind of along the same lines as you guys. The only way I think it gets hairy, and if it gets real hairy, is if Michigan finds a way, like Gage is saying, they pull out all the stops, they throw every gadget and trick in the book at us, and they find a way to get an early lead. That would be a way I think we could maybe see a real close final. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I think in the end, Texas will be too much. I mean, I think we all agree there. As far as, I won't get ahead of too much because we haven't seen the game yet, but based on what you guys saw with, Georgia, Oregon, who I'm trying to think who else kind of struggled a little bit up there, but did it look like Texas is maybe the clear second best team in the country after 1 week? I know we're way ahead of everything here. We'll have a whole different conversation after tomorrow. But were you impressed with any of the top teams? You think that anyone we can't hang with or play with?
I think the only team that I'm just going to say I think Alabama looks really good. Yeah. I think they look really good, man.
I like Ryan Williams a lot, man. Really wish we'd have found a way to get that kid.
I think what I put out my top 10 after like Sundays. I think I did it on Monday or something, and I had Alabama number 2.
Yeah.
More out of respect. One, I think KDB is getting disrespected a little bit, and I refuse to do that because he's gonna haunt me in my dreams. So I want to give KDB that respect. I really like Jalen Milroe. I think he's a dog. I really like Ryan Williams. I was like, dude, Ryan Williams was like one of the guys that I was like, oh man, if we could somehow flip that dude, so Ryan Williams, he had, I know Ryan Wingo had a great performance last week, but Ryan Williams arguably was the better freshman last week. And then Alabama, they look good defensively. It was a weak opponent, but I think people are underestimating Alabama a little bit, even myself, possibly. But I think that they're really, really good, man. I think Georgia, Alabama, and then us right there. And I don't see much of a gap between any three of us. I think that all three really, really good teams.
Yeah.
I mean, tomorrow marks 3 weeks away from being, Georgia and Alabama. So it's going to be really cool to get that game kind of early in the year and find out a lot about them. And kind of making y'all's point, like Bama looked great. And then with Georgia coming to town, I mean, Gage is a little higher on Carson Beck than I am. We'll find out. I mean, he's good, great in that system. He's been there forever. He should be great in that system.
Yeah.
But as far as other quarterbacks in the conference, there's a couple I would take first. I would just say that if Bama's struggle, in my opinion, like my concern rather with them is in the secondary. I don't know if Georgia is really built to take advantage of that, and so I kind of early on, and I know Georgia just dog walked Clemson. We all saw that, but I'm going to put that more on Clemson being Clemson and Georgia. We know Georgia was good. That was pretty bad effort.
If I recall correctly, there was a certain individual on this podcast right now who was very high on Clemson going into that game, covering the spread. Not going to name any names here, but
no, I didn't. I didn't take that at all. Here's the thing: if you ask me enough times about a game, I'm forced to give you my opinion because I don't want to be like, oh, I kind of like that. I'm gonna be like, this is I really thought my thoughts were, this is Clemson's like prove it game, kind of. Everybody thinks they're kind of falling out of the maybe top tier 2 as far as power teams in the college football, and yeah, man, they did not step up and prove anything. Well, not anything good.
Yeah. And just to go back to your question about, teams, and I'll just throw it out there. I'm glad we're not playing both Alabama and Georgia this year. I'm glad we're only getting one of them. And selfishly, I'm even more glad that we have Georgia at home and not in Athens.
Yes.
All right, Gary. I'd love to get you guys' opinion on this as well. I'm gonna go ahead and share mine with you real quick since you asked. I think it's a little of both, to be honest. I don't think that it's a panic mode or that you guys should be in or anything like that. I think the expectations are way too high, and y'all tricked me again. Good for y'all. I'm not buying that crap anymore. I'm gonna have to see it out of A&M first. I do like the Colin Klein hire, but Connor Wegman's got to get a lot better in a hurry. Offensive line's going to have to play better. But yeah, Notre Dame's defense was great. Secondary played really good. Interior of the defensive line was great. Everything that they did worked. Now, I think it's a little bit of both. Some Aggies have said that, they think Notre Dame's a top 3 defense in the country. We got a lot more ball to see before we do that. Let's see them play an offense, with all due respect, that has a pulse before we judge them as far as everybody else. And that's not knocking A&M. They're not there yet. But yeah, and did y'all think, did Notre Dame just dominate that game because that defense was that good, or did A&M really, really, really struggle? What are y'all's thoughts on the Aggie offense?
I thought it was a little bit of both. Wegman did not look good. I'll agree with you that, on that goes. But Notre Dame walked into College Station and, they walked in with a swagger and took care of business. I'm not going to sit here and say that they looked like a bunch of world beaters themselves, but A&M didn't do themselves any favors.
Riley Leonard's got some heart, man. That kid's a gamer. You got to respect that kid. But yeah, they're not like you said, they're not crazy impressive on offense. What about you guys down at the bottom? What are y'all thinking?
I think the difference between those two teams was at the quarterback position. I think they both have very good defenses. I don't think either of those defenses are better than, like, just say a Texas. I really like Riley Leonard. I thought he showed a lot of heart. So I picked Notre Dame to win 24-23. So Wegman struggled a lot more. I was tricked, as you would say, Ghost, by the Aggie fan base a little bit on how good Connor Wegman is. And he went to Bridgeland, so close to where I live. So I knew of Wegman, and I knew how good, but man, he looked shaky. But we know he has arm talent. Can he figure out the footwork? He seemed like he was seeing Ghost a little bit towards the end of that game. Like he was just like there were 17 defenders out there. I think Notre Dame did a great job confusing him. I think that Notre Dame's not going to have that impressive of a defensive performance again. Now, they don't have a horrible schedule, so you'll see games where they look good. But I think if you put them up against a good team, and I don't think that their defense will look as good. I think Wegman struggled a lot, but I also think that there's a lot of time to improve. And we've seen quarterbacks struggle in week 1, and by the end of the season, they look a lot better. And like I said, we know he has the talent. So it's just about figuring out a couple other things for him to really start to excel.
What about you, Deshaun? You got the same take as all of us, or you ready to spit some fire?
No, man, I feel like it's about the exact same. I feel like they don't really have – the only thing that I say that I didn't like about their offense, man, is they just don't seem like they have that field stretcher that Wigman can go too deep. And especially if his offensive line doesn't give him enough time, they're not ever going to be able to get those deep balls that they're going to need in SEC play. And to your boy Stroud, man, I think if you're looking for a bright side, the bright side is you only have to watch 11 more games of that, and then you'll be better, bro.
Well, that's hilarious, man. I will say, Klein, I like the way he's innovative on offense, but he's always had a running quarterback. He's always had a cat that can do something with his legs and pick up designed runs. And I just, with Connor, I don't think Connor's that guy to do that. He's a tremendous athlete, but as far as, I don't know. You got to help the run game a little bit. But, yeah, that's one of the better defenses Notre Dame will play this year. Could, with that schedule, it could turn out to be one of the best. But, yeah, a little of both. Now, defensively, I thought y'all looked really, really good. You get tired in the fourth quarter, you give up a couple of runs. I think that's attributed, obviously you get a little lazy because of the fatigue, but you're on the field so dang much because of your lack of offense. And so that's football 101. Got to help offense has to help the defense out a little bit, put together a few drives, give those times to get some breathers. It's insanely hot, very humid. You got, I don't know how many people y'all had, 105, 107,000, whatever it was. Got to give those big guys time to rest. Now, I will say this. I am curious, about your depth. I think you have a great first unit on defense. And then, but at particular spots, as that fatigue goes on, as the season goes on, hopefully no injuries for you guys. Never would root for that for anyone. But curious to see how you look behind that. What about you guys? Were y'all impressed with A&M defense? Trying to give Gary a little bit of a bright spot if there is one.
I was a little impressed. Like, I thought that they did good things, and obviously, like, I was high on the A&M defense coming in. Like, I think that they're really good, and they've got especially on the front, like they've got a really good defense line. They got a ton of talent. I was impressed with Nick Scorton. I thought that he did a good job, but I did think that they would dominate more. Now, I think Riley Leonard's athleticism kind of took a lot of pressure off that Notre Dame offense. Because there were a lot of times that he looked like he was in some trouble and he could escape the pocket. So I wasn't I thought that they would really, really dominate the line of scrimmage, and I think they did a really good job of that. But I do think that, I wasn't as impressed as I thought I was going to be.
That's fair. Okay. Got anything to shine on the Aggie defense? Did y'all watch that game?
Yeah, we watched it. I would say, like he said, is his name Nick Scroton? That dude's
Scorton. Yeah.
He's so good, bro.
he's a problem.
He's a top 10 draft pick in my opinion.
Absolutely.
I met him when he was in high school, and man, I was like, wait, you're going to play at Purdue? Why? I was like, you're going to Purdue? Like, there's just no way. But it is what it is. He ended up getting back over there to the hometown area. I think their defensive line is really, really good. So I'll leave you with that, Gary. I'm not making any more promises on you guys. I said 9-3, but I was guaranteeing that y'all beat Notre Dame. So don't pay any attention to what I have to say regarding your Aggies, buddy. But I do hope McNeese gives y'all a scare this weekend. Would be fun.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of time to improve. I think that's a good thing. Is college football is a long season, and because of the 12, I'm not saying A&M is going to make the 12-team playoff, but because there's a 12-team playoff now, it's okay to lose week 1 and continue,
but not
to get
week
better.
2. Not if you're Texas.
Yeah. Well, nope. No, we can't lose. No. So I think that it's important to remember that as time goes on, you want to see improvements. I think going back to the Colin Klein offense, I think Mike Elko thought what a lot of people were probably thinking about the Colin Klein offense in the fourth quarter, and it was run the damn ball.
Yeah.
Kyle, Aggie defense.
I got nothing to add. What's already been said.
No, fair enough, man. It's got to be tough, man. We went through those losses in week 1, like Maryland a couple times, obviously, and There's just nothing worse, man. Like you wait all year for it to get here. You have a big moment, and you just think about, what could be on the table if you go. And for us, we weren't even really worried about Maryland either time. We were like 17-point favorites and then like 12-point favorites, and lose outright both times. But
Maryland terrorist. That's what I call it.
That first game in 2017, that's the first game of the Herman era. I had a wedding like later in the afternoon, and I want to say that game kicked off at 11. And I lived in College Station. That's where the wedding was. I still drove over knowing that I could only watch like a little over a quarter and a half. I knew I couldn't watch any more than that. Still drove the 2 hours over there, watched that. And, man, I left so pissed off because we're just getting drugged by Maryland. I'm just burnt red like I am torched. And I was just like, this is one of the 5 worst choices probably I've ever made in life. I mean, and the whole way back, I'm having to watch on the little phone, praying that we make a miracle comeback. And I remember when Reggie Hemphill ran the kick or the punt back, I was like, okay, I'm kind of comfortable. There's no way we lose this game. And not only did we lose that one, we lost to them the following year as well. So we feel for you, Gary, kind of. Rather you than I, buddy. Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, y'all have any other questions or topics, anything that y'all want to bring up before we get out of here?
I'll just go ahead and say, for my boy Deshaun tonight, I've got Eagles money line, and I got Eagles over 25.5 in the first half.
Let's go, bro. I got Hurts on fantasy, so I need him to drop a 40 bomb for me tonight.
What's that really old guy on College Game Day say? What's that dude's name? Lee Corso? Not so fast, Kyle. Eagles +2. We're on. Or sorry, excuse me. Packers +2.
Wow.
We'll see.
Jordan Love here, huh?
And then also, I know you like Duke, but I'm going the under 37 in that one. The real barn burner.
Yeah, I apologize. 10-9. I took Eagles team total over 25.5.
So not the Eagles money line?
No, I took Eagles money line and their team total over 25.5.
Well, here's the deal. Green Bay wins. Or sorry, no, Philadelphia wins 28-27. There we go. We win everything.
That's better.
There you go.
More good news for my boy Gary. The Texans are going to win the Super Bowl this year. So don't worry about Texas A&M.
Sean, are you a Cowboy or Texan fan? Sean, are you a Cowboy fan? Yeah.
I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh my gosh, really? No, that's completely fine. I prefer the Eagles to the Cowboys big time. So
yeah. And I like the Eagles the most because I like Eagles fans the most because they irritate Cowboys fans.
Yes, it's my favorite thing to do, bro.
Literally, I'm a recently committed, which obviously means I'm hopping on the bandwagon Texans fan. But my favorite teams in the NFL for the last 2 decades have been everyone in the NFC East, except for Dallas, because they play them twice a year. It's like, okay, come on, Redskins, Commanders, football team, whatever the hell you are this year. I always root for those guys. Obviously the Giants, the Eagles too. So I'm with you, man. Good luck tonight. I feel bad that I shared my Packers pick, but you guys win 28-27, and we're all happy people on here. Does it worry you guys at all that all 4 of us chose and picked Texas to win by 10+ at Michigan tomorrow? No, a little bit. Does that feel like Kersey? It doesn't feel nothing at all? Okay. I like that.
I know. It's weird, man.
Suspicious here, man. I mean,
yeah.
Think about where we were 2 years ago. Like what were we, 18 or 19-point dogs when Alabama came to Austin in 2022?
Yeah.
And now we're going on the road to Michigan, a little over a touchdown favorite. Yeah, it's Sark, man. We're there. Almost. Sark. But, gentlemen, thank you guys very much for being here. All you guys watching on Twitter, please do us all a favor. Hop into my profile in the bio, follow the link. It'll take you to the Ghost and Friends channel over on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. We got a lot of fun things planned. We got pregame shows, postgame shows. These gentlemen will all be back. Tons of other guests coming on Monday through Thursday. A lot going on. So please go show some love. It takes 2 seconds. It's free to do so. And I want these guys to want to come back on the channel. If they keep seeing, no subscribers, they're going to be like, no, dude, nobody watches that. So show some love, come back, root for the Eagles to win 28-27 tonight. Sorry about you, Cowboy fans. But anything else, guys?
No, man.
Okay, let's go do it. Let's show them who we are and let's keep this train rolling, man. I'm excited.
Hey, how great is it going to feel to take a knee in Tuscaloosa last year and take a knee in Michigan this year, man?
It's pretty special. I didn't see it coming a couple years ago. I can't tell you that.
Special times, guys. Well, y'all all enjoy the game. Enjoy your Friday nights. We'll all talk soon, all right? Hook 'em horns, guys.